Alrighty, Doc here from North America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. A little information's coming out. I believe like some type of unemployment numbers that come out on Thursdays. That should have a cute little reaction. I see some stock firming up, so I see that's a positive. Let's go over to the currency page here and just check it out. There's the Swiss. You can see it's been moving down now for a group of days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which represents that the dollar is going down. Down. Sounds like a smackdown. Yes, indeed. What else can we say about that? I got not much, really. Just a little selling at the moment. It goes back and forth. You start to wonder, we keep on hearing interest rates here in the States. We start wondering about the fundamentals. And you keep on hearing that the interest rates in the States here are going to go up higher and higher. So you have to assume that you would think in the old days that would make the dollar go up in value, not down in value. So, that's the classic buy on rumor throughout, through your life. And you wonder, what are they talking about? Buy on rumor, sell on news. That's a classic right there. Here's a fundamental that we all know. Says that when a currency's interest rate goes up and its inflation rate does not expand as aggressively, it becomes a valuable commodity and everybody rushes in and buys it. And in this case here, you can see we're dancing along the 175 to 170 area in the 10-year. Matter of fact, let's go over and take a look at that. The 10-year, right there. There's the 10-year, and you can see it's in a buy for 4 days now. And you can see it's actually flirting with a weekly buy right there. So when this goes up, interest rates are coming down. That's how that works. So the price of the bond goes up in value, means interest rates are going down. And so all those rumors about, oh my goodness, the interest rates are going to go to... I saw someone, was it Larry Lindsay? I think he was budget director or something like that for Ronald Reagan. Or was it George Bush? I don't know, one of them. Sometimes some of the things he says, I always question. I always look at and shake my head. It's not as bad as Mark Zende, but for the Democrat side with Clinton and Obama and so forth. But Mark Zende is always wrong, whereas Lindsay can be, he's about 50-50. He's talking about a plus 2% in the 10-year. I have a hard time believing that the Fed is going to let that drift up into that range, especially with Mrs. Yellen around. Actually, he said he thinks it's 3%. Actually, I didn't want to say that because it's so insane. But I could see it drifting towards the twos, and maybe jumping over it over the next couple of years. But I can't imagine a 3%er. That would be pretty tenacious. So anyway, you can see here the dollar is going down in value. And you can see that in relationship, the bond is going up and interest rates are dropping. So it's doing the fundamental thing, but it's not doing the consensus. I think that's what you could call it, the consensus. Oh, it's going to go to 3%. Well, if it was going to go to 3%, we would not see it doing this right now. Let's see if we can put a cute little box around that or something. You wouldn't see this sell going on down like that. You just wouldn't see that. And so it's... another classic reason, as usual for me, is that I follow quantitatively. Robin and I were quantitative analysis versus fundamental analysis. Hey, Daniel, how you doing? Where you been? You just get off the mothership? You're back off the mothership? Did you check out the solar system? Or were you drifting around the region? Check out those 2 stars that are ahead of us. They're having some issues. You got to be careful about those micronovas. Let's see. Hey, Doc. Nice to see you back. Yeah. Hang Seng Index and NASDAQ are up. Yes, they are. Matter of fact, the NASDAQ is really trying to get to all-time highs again. It's one of the only indices over the last month that has not been able to hit that. Let's take a look at that. Hit that stuff. Let's see what it's doing. Hitting that stuff. Right there. There's the futures contract. And there is the last time it was at an all-time high back on February 16th. And you can see the high was 13,850. And today we are at 13,743. That's the high. So we're still underneath it. In the March contract, the all-time high was 13 900.5. I remember that. I thought that was kind of neat. Now you can see here we're in a weekly buy for, where's my mousey? And let's see it, show you can see it right there. You can see it in the weekly buy for going on a second week now. And you can see we've been in a daily buy since 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days now. So pretty cool there. Let's see. Silver went bullish again. Yeah, Robin wrote an article about it. There's the May contract. It tried to get into a sell there yesterday morning if you'd been watching the webinar yesterday morning. But I know you were on the mothership, cruising the solar system, or checking out the other solar systems in the region. That's what's going on. A friend of mine is a priest. Said he came back on Facebook a day ago and he said, I've been off since February. What have I missed? And I said, just back from the mothership, I see. He was a math major in college. And so he's a friend of mine, and he chose to become a priest, and he's a math major, so we can always have mathematical jokes. So I'm not picking on you in any way, Daniel, just having some fun there. Let's see. Hey, BZ! How you doing? Let's see what else can we say about silver. Silver's interesting. You can see it's trying to get into the weekly buy. And we've been in a daily buy for like 4 or 5 days, going on a 5th day now. So a 6th day. Actually, it's a 6th day. How about that? Yeah, so I mean, it's come from the 24 area, and we're trading in the 24 and almost a half area now. What's the high today? Today's high is 25.515. Yeah, so 25 and a half. So that's kind of cool. We're seeing some buying in there. Lumber, coffee, corn, also bull. Oh man, lumber! Don't start me on lumber. Robin used to stand in that pit and trade it, and we just shake our heads. $10 lumber on a board foot. Oh my God, $10. They say that adds $24,000 to the average new home. I mean, that's a smackadoodle. I'm glad I have a lot of lumber around here stored away. A friend of mine, his dad and him cut down trees and planked them back in the 1960s. And he's just 70 years old now. And his dad is 90 years old. He was like 19 years old when he had him. And they were out there when he was 8 and 9 years old, cutting these trees down and then planking it with a saw. And his dad is 90 now, and he wants him to move it to his farm from his father's house. He's like, and so my friend they had some people come in and move it, and I kept on thinking, he doesn't know the asset value of that wood. That wood is through the roof. When he did that, board foot was probably like 80 cents a board foot. It's gone up 10 times in value. So every time he talks about getting rid of it, I say, I'll bring a trailer over and take it for free. Gladly take it for free. Let's see. So there's George. Hey, George. Good morning. Yeah, good morning, Robin. Oh, Robin, 15 by 16. And let's see. Treasury bonds, 10-year notes look to go up. Yeah. No, actually, the price is going up, but the rate is going down. That's what we had. Where was that? Right there. It showed you the 10-year. There's the 10-year. And I heard Lindsay yesterday come out with a Zandy type crazy statement. And then here is the 30-year right here. You can see the 30-year is pretty passive, Also, battling its way into a buy. Oh, what's that? What's that? Like that? That's like there. We had that fixed because that red dot was wrong. There we are. And then so you can see here the strength is kicking up. We're getting a little volatility warning right here at the moment. Let's just refresh that. Let's give it a Control R. There we are. I'm covering over the red dot there. I don't know how to remove it, but it is wrong because we went into a buy there, and then somehow or another the red dot occurred a day or two later. It's like, what? What is that? But you can see here, same thing going on with the. Matter of fact, it's taking out this high here. Let's take a look at the 10-year again. Is the 10-year doing the same thing? No. See that? Isn't that interesting? It's close, but see, the 10-year took much more hit on the chin compared to the 30-year. So that's why I'm convinced that we're not going to see 3% 10-year. Just because of the differential between it. Let's see. So that's my attitude about that. It's going up, but I don't think it's going up that much. Brazil real, Japanese yen, Polish zloty, Swiss franc, Singapore dollar. Let's see, kroner, Swedish kroner, kroner. All these are bullish versus dollar. Yeah, they're moving on. The dollar is moving down because you can see here the interest rates are dropping. So that consensus that they're going to go up is not legit because we're seeing it on the charts, we're seeing it in the math, and you're seeing it in the prices of all these pairs trades that the dollar is going down. So how can they think that this thing's going to 3%? Hey, George. Oh, I always figure when you say hello to Robin, you're also saying hi to me too. I'm just that simplistic in my mind, Let's see. Lumber was $1.25 and 76. Yeah, I can imagine. That was Carl I was talking about, Robin. Carl and his dad. When Carl was like, I guess he was like 8 years old and 9 years old, and his dad was like, I guess 28 or something like that, or 27. They go out and they take down these trees. And Carl said it was in the wintertime, and he was so like, oh my God, he was a kid, he was a big kid, and his dad was happy to have a big son, I guess, and so they go and start chopping trees down, and Carl was like, I'm taking that wood, and yeah, so you don't have to add me into it, but I appreciate it when you do. It's a compliment. Thank you very much, George. So Carl, like his dad has these like 14-foot long planks that they cut themselves years ago out of cherry wood, and was it the walnut and all these other things, and he says, I'm taking the wood because my dad offered it to me just for the sake of I froze my ass off doing that wood, cutting that wood, when I was like 8 or 9 years old, 10 years old. So his dad brings it over, has some guys bring it over to Carl's farm, and he's got it stuffed in one of the barns now. So every time Carl bitches about it, I'm like, oh, I'll take it. At $10 a board foot, hell yeah, I'll take it. Let's see. Daniel says, what do you say? Daniel says the Thai baht, the won, Canadian dollar look bearish. Let's take a look at the Canadian because we always go there anyway. So let's see what's going on with the Canadian. And we'll take a look at the euro too. Why don't we do this? We'll go through the rhythm real quick. There's the euro. You can see the euro looking very firm. You can see it's playing with the weekly buy number right there. I'd love to see that thing get through the buy number. That would be nice. I would love to see that. I would like to try to trade this thing on the upside. Cable right there. You can see cable's rolling over, which is kind of interesting, It's going down against the dollar. It's acting like the yen, which is kind of neat. I guess now that it's not part of the European Union, see, it's doing the same thing as the yen is doing there. And then let's look at the other Commonwealth, and that is the Canadian. The Canadian's going, what's interesting is it's not really falling as much. Look at this. When this is going up like that, it's losing value against the dollar. Okay, so there's more Canadian dollars needed to buy American dollars, or cents, however you want to look at it. Now, today it's down a little bit, but overall, last couple of days, as you can see right here, it went into the buy right there, and it's losing value against it. It's not gaining value. Whereas when the Swiss franc, when you look at the Swiss franc, it's going down. So there are less Swiss francs to buy dollars, which is cool. It makes that more valuable. So that's kind of curious there. And then I don't even pay attention to the won. The won is just the won and the what do you call it, the Hong Kong dollar are both fixed and locked to the dollar. So I mean, it's not much action going on there. It's a whole different animal altogether when you have something that doesn't really trade very well. Hong Kong trades because it does. I wonder if Hong Kong trades more Hong Kong dollars a day than Chinese yuan. I wonder which one trades more. That's a good question. Daniel, why don't you check that out while I'm doing the webinar? See if you can find out I know that the Chinese yuan trades about 2+% volume in a day, compared to say the euro trades like 15%, and the yen trades like 12 or 13% in a day. In other words, the yuan doesn't trade much in the world markets. I wonder what the Hong Kong dollar does. Is that in the 1 or 2% area also? Which seems kind of odd when you think about it. I mean, Hong Kong is part of China now, but an independent asset still. They'd be better off getting rid of the yuan and just trading the Hong Kong dollar, I guess. I don't know. None of that makes any sense, But yeah, if you can spot that, that'd be cool. If not, I'll look it up somewheres over the next couple days. I'd like to see what that is. I never thought about looking at the differential between the Hong Kong dollar and how much it trades a day in volume versus the Chinese yuan. Stefano, good morning to you. Welcome to the hood. So that would be a very interesting thing to figure out, It's kind of like the J4X strategy that we have here, where we look at the difference between a slow and fast-moving stochastic, and then we have like a MACD underneath that, and what we're doing, and we have a CCI in there that shows strength and weakness, and it's just you see how the CCI starts to roll over, and then you can see it takes about 4 or 5 days, and then it joins in. The product itself joins in, and you can see where when it joins in, then our fast and slow stochastic join in, and we do a relative thing, and we're not talking about like family members, but we're talking about relative, like old Al Einstein's idea, one thing versus another, and the relationship to not relationship like family wise, but relationship to like where it stands in space. I'm convinced that they, his paper was called "Moving Objects on a Magnetic Field," and I'm really convinced that they were making a joke at the Planck or the Heisenberg Institute when they changed his paper's name to Relative. I think they were making a joke about him dating his second cousin or something like that. Second and third cousins. I think he was doing both of them. But anyway, that's what that's all about. That's the strange part of it all. But that's why I kind of always make those jokes about Einstein and relative, because his paper was published as the moving bodies on an electromagnetic field. That's the name of his paper. But somehow or another they turned it around a few years later and renamed it, relativity. And we were kind of thinking that if you take the word, what was it, Freeman Dyson? I know I'm drifting here a little bit because I'm just having fun on Einstein's behalf, but Freeman Dyson used to say that, at the Institute, all he would do is speak German all the time. So he wouldn't talk to the people in English, and he wouldn't talk to the English people. Anybody that spoke English, he wasn't talking to. He was only talking to the other Germans. So you got to wonder, did we really get the right, when they changed it, were we really, was it a joke at the time that they changed it to relative? Because were they talking about his two cousins that he was involved with? Or, that's the end of that story there. That's my X-rated side of the webinar this morning here. I can say this about that. If anybody has watched the National Geographic series about Albert Einstein, the first scene is him and his secretary on a desk doing it. Can you imagine they started that series on Albert Einstein with him having sex with his secretary on a desk? So, I'm not that far off the hunt when it comes to making a joke about relative, because I like to call it more like differential. You look at the differential between the slow-moving stochastic and the fast-moving stochastic. And every time I hear the word relative, I kind of think of that National Geographic thing and what I know personally about Al Einstein through, the people who know him. So, it's like I said, it's my X-rated side of the webinar. Anyway, all right, let's get back to the basics here. Let's see. Okay, here's Daniel. Daniel's come up with the answer. Chinese Forex turnover during the year 2020 is estimated at 2 trillion yuan during that year. How about the Hong Kong dollar? I wonder what that was. I know it was lower in 2020 than it was in 2019. I do know that. And turnover. Now, no doubt, it's such big economy, but how much percentage in world trade did the yuan trade? That's what I really want to know. And what is 200 trillion really? Let's think now. 200 trillion, is that what is that? That's is that 2,000 billion, right? Yeah, but in world trade. So in other words, that's including imports and exports. I'm talking about the world trading the yuan as a currency itself is around 2%. I mean, with those type of numbers, then I guess the dollar would be the dollar is like 25% of world currency, right? So you would if the yuan is 2%, so you're multiplying it by 12.5. So I guess the turnover of the dollar would be 10 times, that would be 2,000. It'd be like 22, almost 2,500 trillion dollars a year. $2,500 trillion a year compared to 200 trillion from China. Because the United States, we're our turnover, our trade amount, 200 trillion yuan is around 30 trillion. Now I have a hard time believing they have 30 trillion of anything. Their economy is only a 4 or 5 trillion dollar economy. So a 30 trillion, let's see, so 200 trillion, that makes no sense. And the U.S. economy is like 12, 13 trillion. And remember, that's on a fixed thing on the yuan. Yeah, so I mean, the dollar trades 25% of the world markets every day. And the yuan trades about 2% of world markets a day. And I'm wondering how much does the Hong Kong dollar trade in a day? I think I've seen it's like 1%. It's half of what the China, but then the turnover in Hong Kong mathematically would be 100 trillion a year of 100 trillion of yuan in Hong Kong. That's what I'm trying to figure out, the differential between them. And I'm not going to do the relative joke anymore. I'll stay away from the relative joke. So let's see, where else are we? So there is the Swiss. Did you see the who was asking? There's the Canadian. I was talking about that. There's the Canadian, that movement there. Oh yes, let's jump over to the Turkish Lira right there. It's trying to turn up. You can see the action here. We got a volatility dot. Maybe, but the problem is we can only really take the sell side because this thing is still underneath the numbers. Whereas last week when it jumped into the buy, it was in a weekly buy throughout the week and failed at the end of the week. And sure enough, you can see what happened when it failed. It fell right down again there on the yuan. We're really not the one, the Turkish Lira. We're really watching this a lot because we've never seen our math fail yet over 40 some odd years, and we really think it wants to go to this cute little yellow dotted line there. So we're going to see how that goes. Yeah, for the Hong Kong dollar, that's what's got my curiosity, is that I wonder what the differential is between the two. The yuan versus the Hong Kong dollar in volume traded a year or a day, just a day in the world. Let's see. So 632 billion. So that's like that's still too big, And I'm going to tell you why. 632 billion versus 200 trillion. No, wait a minute, 2 trillion. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, that does make sense. 2 trillion, was it 200 trillion, right? 200 trillion yuan. So, I mean, obviously, you would look at the size of Hong Kong and its import-exports, and then look at the size of China with its import-exports. I'm just trying to put a relationship to the two, Chinese foreign exchange Forex market in May 2020 recorded a turnover of 15.67 trillion. Let's see, China's foreign exchange Forex market, 15.67, so 10 times that. That's under, so I guess that's about right, isn't it? 10 times is 150. Yeah, so that's the 200. That's the 2 trillion. Yeah, that shows. Yeah, I'm not totally confident about any of the Chinese markets. I'm just not. I just don't trust them. I find them to be. Let's see. Oh, interesting. Oh, cool. Yeah. So. Yeah, I'm always leery about the Chinese statistics. They confound me. They don't make a lot of sense because the one that really bothers the daylights out of me is why is there only 2% of the currency trading a day? You know, if it's really that big, it should be more than the European Union. The European Union is 15% a day, but the Chinese yuan it's only 2% a day. So sometimes these numbers just don't match up. What's the take a look and see what the numbers are for the European Union. Does it match the 200 trillion? That would be interesting to see. Yeah, really, Chinese statistics. So let's see. So $600 billion. So China is almost 4 times bigger than Hong Kong. Is that all it is? I would think it would be bigger than that. 1 billion people, so forth and so on. You know, all the minerals and industrial. I guess it just shows you how good capitalism can be. Look at Poland versus Europe. Poland, good capitalism, and it's like second most powerful industrial nation now on the size wise in Europe. So it just shows you how good capitalism works and how much all the other ones, the socialisms and all, and the communisms just don't work. All right, so there's Turkish Lira, and let's drift over. We usually then go to Canadian, so you can see this is rising, and so you would think that the oil would be weaker. And then let's take a look at NASCAD right there. And there's NASCAD, and that's rising too. So that you'd think that oil is rising. So let's go take a look at oil. I haven't looked at oil today at all. And I even saved the chart and didn't even pay attention to it. Now look at that. It's flattened down. We're in that sell, but it hasn't really gone anywhere. We're trying to go into a weekly sell. It hasn't gone anywhere. You would think we'd get the dead cat bounce out of it, try to pop up a little bit, and then maybe they're going to smack a doodle it down into the mid 50s. Maybe that's the answer to that one. Yeah, good numbers there, Daniel. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's why Robin will say to me sometimes, it's the Daniel Doc show. It's the Daniel Doc webinar. All right. So let's check out a few more of the energy sector now that we're there. There's the natural gas moving down slow and soft. Nothing major. And then let's just check out the automobiles. The fuel for automobiles right there. There's the robo. We got to change that contract from May to April now, I guess. No, July. We got to go June. Got to go to the June contract. You can see there, it's getting ready to be delivered. I think they start delivering this in like 2 or 3 days. And you see that's the robo, and it's moving down also, but nothing major. And it's like that ABC thing going on, but not a lot of thrust, So nothing too wild there. All right, now let's see. Let's drift over to. Let's see. What was it? That's the three energies, and you know what? I was going to say we could take a look at bean oil, but I don't think I have the chart up at the moment. I can turn it on, but I think I'm going to do this. I'll drift back and look at the ruble. A lot of smart people are coming out and trying to tell the Biden administration to leave Russia alone. Stop toying with them. The man is a goony bird, honest to God. You can see here they ran the ruble up over the last 4 or 5 days. Now that a lot of people in Washington, especially some Democrats, are trying to tell them, stop it, leave the Russians alone, pull back, don't get involved with these things. And we're also starting to ask, he called the prime minister or president of Ukraine. We want to hear the phone conversation because he did that to Trump. We want to know what the phone conversation was about. Is he asking for another bribe? We've already seen him already bribe the guy once. So, maybe he's saying, look, you give my son another job, or you give my brother a job, or let him build something for a few $1 billion, and we'll come in and rattle the cage of Russia. Something like that. Anyway, a lot of people are coming out and telling him, on the Democrat side, leave Russia alone. And that might bring the currency back down here. All right, now we saw the yen. The yen's doing that march down. And I just took a bite of the apple. Excuse me, people. It's breakfast time here. And let's see. I won't bite again. I was just hungry. And then let's take a look at the Mexican peso. Well, I'm telling you, impressive. That government is working very hard to clean things up. Look at that thing go down. That means it's getting more valuable against the dollar. Indeed. You can see we've been in the sell since here, and the weekly sell since here. So the pressure is on there for the dollar to try to show some strength again, and it's not against the peso, that's for sure. And as Daniel said, it's getting hit against most products except for something like Canadian and it's Commonwealth, I guess. What had happened? Let me look at Aussie. Aussie just survived. Let's take a look at the Aussie. Because Canadian's getting beat up too against the dollar also. And there's the Aussie. Aussie was very close to going into the sell yesterday. We got a volatility signal. Almost got it. And it's trying to bounce back up today. So see, if this goes up, it's losing value against the dollar, right? No, this is Aussie dollar. So when it's going down, it's like the, let's see, is it the reverse? Okay, so when it's going down, the Aussie's going down in value, and when it's going up, it's gaining in value. In this case here, it's gaining again in value, trying to pop up today. But that caught my eye. It tried to go after the sell. Where's the buy at? Oh, there's the buy right there. So there's the buy. One over. There it is. So 3 days in the buy. Yesterday caught my eye because it got very close to going into the sell, as you can see on the fact check spreadsheet. Right there. So we're 3 weeks in the sell, 3 days in a buy. Went into the sell in this area here. There we go. Yeah, so that's the action we're seeing there. So when this is rising, it is losing against the dollar. Let's see what I say before. When this is going down, it's losing against the dollar, and when it's going up, it's gaining against the dollar. So it's trying to perk up its head, I guess, something like that. Showing some strength there. All right. Anybody see anything else you want to take a look at? If not, we'll go through the rotation, and if you come up with an idea, just throw it out there, and we'll stop what we're doing and check it out. What it is what it is. There's the Zloty. The Zloty, as it's going down against the euro. Let's see. So the euro against the Zloty. So when it's going down, the Zloty is gaining in value. It's making money. And so that's the Zloty. That's the Polish currency, and man, they're doing some good stuff there because that currency is solid. Just solid. No other way to look at it. It's been. Every country in the world would like to have stability like that. The Zloty has been very stable. Very stable. Indeed. And I guess that's the way we're going to be watching that for a while. We've been watching that for a couple years now. I mean, it was funny to watch the Turkish Lira and it be at the same price for a little while, and then the Turkish Lira literally doubled, went from like 4 or 3 and change to 8.5. It was like, wow. What a measuring stick, huh? All right. Now we jump over to, since we're looking at currencies, we go and look at the metals, because that was part of the article yesterday, or Tuesday's article. And let me go to the metals again. So there is, let's go to, metals. There it is, gold. There's gold. You can see it's for the day, it's holding up. Let's give it a refresh, but it looks like it's at 3-week highs, not bad. We just need this thing to get into a weekly buy. And then silver is doing it. It's cool. Silver's at, I guess, what's that? It's like 1 week and 2 weeks. And it's going after like a 3-week, it's going after a 2.5 week high, which is kind of cool. And this even looks like a reverse head and shoulders. Hey, Robin, how's your dots looking? You hear anything? According to Toronto Central Bank survey, foreign exchange turnover in April, U.S. dollars has 88% or 200%. Euro has 32%. Yen has 16. 12. AUD, yeah. Let's see. Canadian is 5%. Swiss is 5. Now they have, oh, okay, so they have the Chinese yuan at 4.3. I look at it through a different way. I have to go over and look at it, where I look at it through the dollar index, and I look at the pairs, the 6 components, and then I take also the World Bank on currency exchange, and I look at those numbers, and that fits this, except for, it has the right percentage, because it has like 26% on the dollar, and it has something like 15% or 13%, something like that, on the euro. And so that's a little bit firmer. And then the yen to the euro is about the right percentage. Maybe a little bit, actually that's a little bit more extreme. But that's good. That's good, Daniel. I wanted to see some type of comparison there. That's good. Hong Kong. Now, how can the Hong Kong dollar be 3.5 when the Chinese yuan is 4.3? You know what I mean? See, that's not that's something doesn't make any sense there. That's what I wanted to ferret out. That's exactly what I wanted to ferret out. In other words, I was expecting, I know that the World Bank says it's like 2+% of world currency percentage in the yuan. I was wondering, would Hong Kong be like 0.5? That's what I said. In other words, a quarter of it. Would it be, less? But how can it be 3.5 versus 4.3? That's awful close to each other. That's way too close. See, that's another, I don't trust China numbers. How can that, there it is. Their major, I guess you could say it's their number one city in a sense. Hong Kong is in China now. Their currency, they're using the dollar, because the Hong Kong dollar is a 10-time fixed to the U.S. dollar. So that's what catches my eye. Good job, Daniel. That shows what I was curious about. I was looking for a much more smaller percentage of the Hong Kong dollar. I would have thought, statistically it would have been like if the yuan is 4.3, I would expect the Hong Kong to be, 0.65 or 0.7 or something like that, just much smaller. It's kind of, I like to call it the Zloty effect, because of the way the Polish currency trades in Europe for the size of its country. Let's see, that's all good stuff. Yeah, and yeah, that makes all sense. And Daniel says Turkish Lira. Yeah, that's interesting, the Turkish Lira, I'll tell you. Daniel, essentially this means that the Chinese yuan with 4.3 is similar to Canada. Yeah, right, exactly. See, the numbers may not be right, and I'm not going to do the Al Einstein joke again, but the differential between those two, or the relative factor, something's wrong there. Something's definitely wrong, statistically. You got blocked. Robin, you get blocked. What'd you get blocked on? I just saw that. You got blocked on something. Central Swiss Survey, foreign exchange turnover. Yeah, that's really good. Thank you. 12-page PDF. Way to go, Daniel. Good job. What'd you get blocked on, Robin? Were you trying to inform somebody something? Or, let's see, where is that? Were you trying to put... were you trying to put this up there or something like that? Is that what you were trying to do, or trying to explain to somebody? Did somebody ask you that? Maybe that's something like that, huh? Is that what happened? About the Chicago quant? I just put it up on the screen there. Oh, I asked you a question. How could they delete your question? What was the answer? Are you following my trend in the Al Einstein way? Oh, Robin must have deleted the answer. Oh, dots. Yes. What about your silver dots? How are they doing? Oh, you deleted it? Okay. How are your silver dots doing? Are they turning up yet? They should be turning up, because your math is usually pretty spot on picking up noise like that? I know you said it faded a couple days ago, it started and failed. Well, no doubt. We tried to go into a sell that day too when you said that. You know. All right. So let me think. Where are we at now? Let's minimize that again. Let's see. Oh yeah. So there's silver. Let's look at copper. Robin wrote this good article about copper and armatures, and you need copper to do the electric thing. You know. Still not ready yet. Okay. I bet it jumps soon. So you can see there the copper is holding up pretty firm. Tried to go into a sell and failed at it. And now it's lifting up again. You know, it's just showing life. I'd like to see it get into a weekly buy. That would be nice right there. You know, we're just banging around underneath still. A couple of weeks in the sell, and we went down, and now we've gapped up, and the buy protected us because we've been long here, or the daily buy has been long here. This here, that was really weird because it was a plus, and it wasn't until this big gap up that it threw this in. I don't even think that stat is even right, but that's why I don't change it, because it doesn't make any sense. This gap here, tried to change the dot. Let's see. You already had US CAD 47. Seek and you shall find, brother. Here it comes. Canada. There it is right there. Canadian. We were talking about that. 47. What's curious is that, with the way Daniel was saying, all these currency pairs are moving stronger against the dollar. And we're finding that the Commonwealth currencies are not, which is kind of curious. So you see here the Canadian is moving up. It's in a daily buy for the last couple of days. It's showing a little life today against the dollar right there. You see it's lower. That means it's more valuable than it was yesterday. Less Canadian dollars against the American dollar means it's making money. It's gaining. But we're still in the weekly sell, and this thing doesn't seem to even want to get through the time manifold at the moment. We're watching that. It's close. And then, you see right there, the time manifold. The white line can't even get through the negative time manifold yet. Then we looked at the cable, and check this out. Cable's doing the same thing as the Canadian dollar. It's moving down against the dollar, not moving up like all the... you can see the chat line. Daniel put up all the pairs trades that are moving against the dollar right now on the upside. And the Canadian is not. The cable is not. And then we went down and looked at the Aussie. We're looking at the Commonwealth currencies. And yesterday it almost went into a sell, doing the same exact thing. And we're in the weekly sell since here. So it's not really, remember, when this thing is going down, it's losing against the dollar. And so they get less Aussies to the dollar. And so it popped up here today, which is kind of impressive. Does that answer your question on the CAD? It seems to be a Commonwealth thing going on at the moment, not a Canadian thing. So it seems like the Commonwealths in general are feeling the pressure more than anything else. Commonwealth currencies. Everybody who's in the Commonwealth, especially the ones that have, strong currencies or active currencies. Did that help you out, 47? Hey, no problem, 47. Glad to always give it to you. It doesn't matter. As I've said to you, and I want to remind other watchers, it doesn't matter if I've looked at something for somebody earlier in the webinar. If you have an interest in it, just ask them. We'll look at it again. You never know. I think that was the third time we've looked at the Canadian today. And you never know what idea you can get out of it. The second time we looked at it made us look at the other pairs trades in the Commonwealth, because I recognized we'd looked at the cable, and I was worried about the Aussie yesterday, about it almost making it into the sell. And I thought to myself, that sounds like a Commonwealth effect more than it is a dollar effect, And so you can see here it is. There's a justification. Matter of fact, I guess if we look at the NASCAD, NAS, where's it at? Yeah, there we go. Let me show you. The New Zealand against the dollar, another Commonwealth, right? So in other words, when it's rising, this is the New Zealand against the dollar, right? So when it's rising, it's losing money, right? Yeah. No. You see, when it's going down, the New Zealand is going down against the dollar. Okay, yeah. So it did the same thing yesterday. It flirted into the sell, and it's still in the sell even with it popping up. Now let's refresh that. Let's see. Let's give it a reload. Yeah. So it's doing the same thing as the Aussie. It's trying to pop back up, but yesterday it was a Commonwealth thing. They all got pushed down. See that? And this one did make it into the sell, and it's in a weekly sell to begin with. What's that in a weekly sell for 4 weeks now? And obviously the math is losing money. That's exactly what's going on there. And so, so that winner chicken dinner that you made big time money there, you're giving up a few pennies from it. And so, yeah, it's a Commonwealth thing. That's the way I look at it. All right, now let's drift over to where are we at here, unless someone wants to see anything particular. Let me see here. Let's see. Over-the-counter foreign exchange turnover by currency pair. Net basis. Daily agencies in April in billions of dollars. Percentage. U.S. Euro 24. Yeah, that's the numbers I follow. That's the ones I follow. There you go. Yeah. And then I think it's the dollar in this case is 50% of it. That is this something like that. Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, I'm a little perplexed by the Hong Kong dollar / Chinese yuan. Those numbers don't make sense to me. You know, that should be, instead of 4.3 and 3.5, that should be 4.3 and like 0.75 or something like that, or 0.65. Not even 1 percentage point. How Hong Kong can be 3.5 and the Chinese yuan can be 4.3 says something's wrong with their math. In other words, the statistics we're getting out of China on how much they're really doing is not necessarily as true as they want to pretend. So in other words, I don't think they're the second largest economy in the world. I think they're like the fourth or the fifth. I've said this before. I think the European Union is number 2. I think that Japan and England, Japan in particular, I think is definitely number 3. And I think that the British pound or the Great Britain and the Commonwealth was probably number 4, and I think China is number 5. I think that's how that is. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Very small percentage. Very small percentage. You can't be the second largest economy in the world and at the same time have your currency translation situation going on like you're the same size as, smaller than Canada and smaller than Switzerland. Something's wrong there. Yeah. Yeah, good work there, Daniel. Very good work. Yeah, that's why Doc doesn't pay attention to the Chinese yuan that closely. I don't do it because I have a disagreement with him or an agreement with him. I do it because the math doesn't show it. I can't find the math to tell me that I should be paying attention to it. That's the problem. The math is just not coming in and saying, okay, look at this. I mean, I follow the Zloty. Look at the Zloty. Can you see what the Zloty? What is the Polish economy doing? Did you have that up on any of the stats there? I mean, the Polish economy is battling with France to be the second largest industrial nation now on the continent. That's phenomenal because they're only like a quarter of the size or a third of the size of France. So what are they doing right, and what is France doing wrong? Okay. Hanging out in Bordeaux country a little too long. All right, let's jump over to, where did we go? We were looking at the metals, was it? Yes, we were looking at the metals, and I think we left out one. Let's go check out, where's it at? Right there. Oop, okay. Let's go over there again. And we left off at copper. Let's just take a look at the platinum. Now, platinum is smoothing out from yesterday. And let's put gold up on J4X so we can spot what's going on there. So there it's trading. No, that's not it. And so there it's trading at 1751, and platinum is trading at 37. So what is that? 14. So what we're looking at, you subtract one from the other, it's at 514, and yesterday it was at 490. So platinum is losing a little today out of the spread. Fascinating to watch that spread go on. Mrs. Yellen's got a lot of work to do. She's going to have to do a lot of dancing. Lots of dancing. She's trying to convince the OECD countries, the 24, to raise their taxes. She's, we have these, I don't know what you want to call them, socialists / globalists running things they do some really weird stuff. So it seems Chinese yuan pairs versus dollar has more volume than the Swiss franc per versus US dollar. Chinese yuan per dollar is similar to Canadian dollar versus US dollar. Yeah. Okay. And so what's that mean? It means that they're just not. I agree that the Hong Kong dollar is having as much volume as the Swiss franc, but when you think about the safe haven and the capital flight and out of Hong Kong, that may make some sense. Yeah, I hear you there. See, that's why I don't think it has any relationship. I like to see just a percentage of what it's trading, not anything else. Not like cash flow, inventory. You got to imagine they got 1 billion people. They got to buy. They've got a lot of activity compared to, a country with 30 million people. So that doesn't really represent the strength of the economy or the currency. It just shows you they got a lot of mouths to feed, basically. And they got to build X amount of homes. They got to build X amount of vehicles. They should be big numbers, but you can't. If the country was truly the second largest economy itself in the world, its currency wouldn't be trading at such a small percentage. It would be way up higher. It just shows you that it cannot provide. It doesn't have the ability to be a major currency player per se. It's only a major consumer on some level, and you got to imagine that most of that consumption is being fed by American currency. Because the Americans are buying a lot from them. I mean, we were buying a half a trillion a year in goods from them. So, they're getting a chance to have a lot of turnover. So it's not a really good measurement, and that's what we're here for. Our webinar is a currency webinar and a commodities webinar on the currencies and not currencies, the energies and the metals and all, and we need to see things equal in value to be able to measure them against each other. You can't measure an apple and an orange and say that they're the same. The only thing is they have somewhat of a spherical structure to them, but they have different tastes. They have different vitamins and minerals. They're different. Even if they are from the planet Earth and they're round, it doesn't mean that they're the same thing. And it's the same thing with the Chinese economy. It has a lot of people. They've got to provide a lot. They're going to have a lot of cash flow in and out. But if the world is only trading 2% of its currency, then something's wrong. Something's definitely wrong. It means that it's an island. It's an island of its own, really, in many ways. So in other words, it's a what do they call that? It's a closed system. That's what that means. So China is really a closed system. So when people go and invest there, they are hoping to make some profits because they know it's a closed system. And so if they can get on the right side of the communists, then they are able to draw some of that capital out. I understand it's very hard for them. Companies who build in China have a hard time getting their money out of China. They're not really that free to move their assets out, or they'll be punished. Yeah, that's a good comparison. The British pound with 12.8 has more than CNY and Hong Kong put together. Yeah, see, that's exactly what I've been saying for years now here. If look, trust me, traders, if the Chinese yuan was a very active product and showed me to be a dominant player in the currency market, I'd be following it. Like we'd be starting the webinar off on the yuan. In other words, now the real competitor against the dollar. Boom. I'm not afraid to say that if it's happening. But if it's not happening, it's awful hard to say it, And that's what the problem is. And Daniel here puts up the data that shows that something is not equal in value. So we really have to think twice about thinking that China is going to take over the world and it's going to become the world reserve currency. And China is a closed system. And so being a closed system like that, it doesn't have a natural tendency to be able to be a leader. That's the problem. Yeah, that's another thing too. When you build in China, you have to partner up with China. So in other words, you have to show them your patents and your all your inventions and the whole bit. It's very tough situation, So, all right, traders, we're going to jump out of here. Let's see, tooling around U.S. Oh, that was Robin. Okay, yeah. All right, we're out of here, traders. It was a good day. We'll have to come up with a title for this, and may even talk about the yuan. I think it's a good thing there because the stats are really important. All right, happy trail. See you tomorrow. Is TGIF. Looking forward to that. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, all our trading friends, from the singing trader, Doc himself. Ta-ta for now.